Okay, our next speaker is Joseph Higbee. He is a marketing director, comes from the West and then even further west. Lives in Frederick, but originally went to school in Brigham Young, which is way out west. And so he's up next.
Thanks, Rob. Okay, so who is planning on getting an associate's degree and being done? Raise your hand. Okay. Who's planning on moving on to get a bachelor's degree? Okay. What are some of the fields that you're looking at going into? Bachelor's in visual communication, mass communication,
Computer science.
what?
Computer science.
What?
Computer science.
Computer science. Perfect. Biological science. Okay. Yeah. Criminal justice. Okay. Good. So today we're going to look at that's not working. UIs. We're going to look at kind of the view of the world. Now that's a lot, so we'll chisel it a little bit. But looking out at communicating, if you're in criminal justice or if you're in biology, you have to communicate. And the ability to do that is just not for people who major in communications. It's for people, right? So people communicate with other people. People communicate with groups of people. People communicate with individuals at the same time as they're communicating with groups of people. So communication can be quite complex. Understanding sometimes goes beyond the bounds that we can really take in. The first key really is to understand who it is you're talking to. You need to go about understanding where they're coming from. And if you just go and start sending messages to people, you can go and do a feedback loop and find out if it's sticking. You can find out if it's effective for whatever you want to measure. But that doesn't mean that you know how to get to them. You know how to meet their needs. You have to really understand where they're coming from. What's their viewpoint? So each one of you came into this classroom thinking something. And it may be different from someone else. You may be thinking, all right, I'm here for extra credit. All right, I'm here and there are refreshments. Or this person next to me stinks. Don't look next to me. So there's a lot of viewpoints that each of you came into this classroom expecting, and when you're sending out a message, you have to understand the viewpoints and the angles at which that person's viewing the situation, right? And if you don't, you're not going to be able to communicate with them well. You can talk to them or send a message to them somehow, but you're not going to really communicate well with them, and you're not going to influence them. So understanding where they are and understanding where you are and your environment, it gives perspective. And without perspective, you can't communicate, or you can't communicate well, okay? So let's look at a few situations. The world. You have to have some type of perspective of the world around you to do anything. You're going to different majors. To do well in your occupation, you have to have some understanding of what's happening around you in the world, right? If we look at legislation, what's happening in the world government-wise? What's happening in a specific corporate transaction? What's going on? If I communicate within that realm of what's happening, I need to know what's surrounding the message that I'm going to send. Yes? Stand at the podium. You got it? Okay. See, that was clear, right? He clearly said, if I do not stay right here, you won't have this later. So a conversation, I need to understand that I'm talking to somebody that can hear me, right? This lady right here is talking in a way that someone can understand her, okay? That's very important. So in a conversation, you need to know the recipient of the message is going to understand the way you're communicating with them. So picking a major, right? So picking an associate's degree major, picking a bachelor's degree major, maybe some of you will go on and get a master's degree. Picking that, you need to understand a little bit beyond just the choice, right? Your understanding needs to reach a little bit further than your immediate decision. So you have to look a little bit into the future and say, who am I? What do I like to do? What do I want to do? What do I want to be? Not just what do I want to do each day, that defining who I want to be, but what do I want to be as a person? And then going into the field and saying, oh, I'm not going to leave. All right, hands length. Does that work? So find or accepting a job. You may get a job offer, but it may not be something that you feel you could do as well as you could do something else. Or you may be looking for a job, but you may not know anything about the company, right? So looking and finding information about what's happening around you is important. So let's talk about some of the skills that are involved here. You need this skill or ability to understand. We've been talking about that a little bit. So what's happening or what could happen? Okay? The ability to take yourself or someone else or a company or situation and put it in the mix of what's happening. Okay? So if someone parachutes in to a setting, I hope that they looked at a map before they parachuted in, right? So they understand what's around them. So when they land, it's not just what they're looking around and seeing, but they know what's a little bit beyond their sight. And that's important in communicating because there's ripple effects in things that you say. You will remember, right? Other people remember what you say or what you tweet or what you, right, put on Facebook. So we need to understand that there are some ripple effects, and strategy comes into play there. So the skill or ability to execute, the ability to actually tactically execute on a message and send it out at the right time to the right people. The ability to understand what did happen. What about the past? What was going on before I'm going to send this message out, before I'm going to communicate? And how do I ensure that there's clarity, or that there was clarity enough that the message was received and understood? Okay? And then, this is kind of a big one, right? Who and why? Some of you came into here having different agendas. Why did you come? For some of you, it was one reason. For some, it was another. I may not be meeting your expectations right now of why some of you came in, right? Because you came in with a certain expectation. And a number of people have an agenda for things that they're doing. Some companies have agendas. Individuals have agendas. They have goals. They're going in certain directions. And so it's important, if we're going to send a message to someone, that we kind of understand their agenda, where they are, where they're headed. This is a quick, I don't know if you can see this quickly. It's about the white here that you can't see. Says 1,800. 1,800 messages are shared with a person during a day. And that's that you have to receive it and understand it, and then you have to respond and give back to someone, whether that's written or verbal or nonverbal. Okay, so can someone read this out loud? Okay, so that's the last time you can ever say that, all right? You can't say that anymore. I recently had a salesperson say this to me. They said, I was talking with them, but I was just listening, and they said, I'll just keep talking if you let me. Well, I'm in sales, you know. And I thought, are we having a conversation, or are you talking, or are we trying to get somewhere together? Are you trying to understand where I am and trying to communicate with me, or are you just trying to send messages at me, right? And so we have to listen. right? And in listening, we're able to understand. And that allows us to better communicate. Another thing someone said to me was, I majored in advertising and out at Brigham Young University. And since that time, someone said, hey, I want a job in advertising. And my answer is, well, you can't see it because it's in red. There are no jobs in advertising, okay? Multi-billion-dollar company industry, but there are no jobs in advertising. There are jobs in account management, account planning, there are jobs in social media, there are jobs in media buying, editing, art directing. There are specific jobs that no one's going to hire you and say, hey, I want you to come do advertising. So the question is, what are they hiring for? Okay, what are the jobs that people are hiring for? And what are the skill sets and the abilities that you need to get hired to those jobs? So go and learn about them. Understand what it takes to do some of these jobs that may fall in the big realm of marketing or PR, journalism, or biology. Whatever it is that you're looking at, go and understand what the jobs are. It's not just that I want a job in this area, because you can't go into an interview and get hired to do something, right? So there's specific needs that organizations have, and if you can come to the table and say, I understand what the needs are, and I've trained a little bit to meet those needs for you, you can offer those to the company, to the organization. Okay. Let's talk for a quick second about sales. So raise your hand if you've sold something. Okay? Raise your hand if you've sold something. Everyone's in sales. Who's sold an idea before? Yeah. They're a little bit harder to sell, right? But they also are more powerful. Ideas are a little bit more powerful than products or services. So let's look at product, services, and ideas. All of us have sold something, and when you're in school, you're selling your teacher, trying to get that grade. You need to understand what they want. You need to give it to them, and hopefully you get the grade back that you like. Products, if you look at products, a lot of times it's based on what are the features, what are the benefits, what's the benefit to the user going to be. Services is what can we do for you, and ideas are a viewpoint, but these I feel are the most powerful. And a lot of times when selling these two other things, if you base your sale, your communications solely on what the product is or what the service is, you still may not be successful, because you have to understand the person still. People are the link that goes through everything. And if you understand people, the people that you're going to talk to, the people you're going to communicate with digitally, then you'll be able to sell better. And remember, all of us are selling at some level. So let's just look at life for a quick second, and then I'll be done. So now's the time to invest in yourself. You're coming to school, and you're investing in yourself. You're putting in the time, and it's important that you spend your time on valuable activities that build a strong foundation that will give you a return later in life. Things that you enjoy, but things that will help you grow to become better. Not just to be able to do things, but to be able to become something, to become more. Okay? And this investment in yourself is critical. It's important. So don't give your time away to somebody else while you're here in school, maybe when you should be studying. Invest in yourself. Take the time, read, learn, put the time in that it takes to build yourself a good foundation. Okay? Don't just hand that away. Additionally, though, don't let self-focus become who you are. If you just look internally, and this will happen as you graduate and as you move on, continue to invest in yourself, but start giving some things away to other people, giving your time and your knowledge and your understanding. Share with them what you have. Each of you are unique in a different way. You have different skills and abilities that maybe the person next to you doesn't have. So don't let the self-centeredness rule your life. Look outward and give to other people. And this will help you become happy in life. Okay? Also, don't just focus on doing, just doing. There's more to life than just doing things. Okay? So take time, focus on yourself, do the things that you need to do, look outward, take care of other people, but then don't just measure yourself on ticks of what you're doing. Instead, look at who you want to become, and then start just helping yourself get there. So it's not that I did something. You don't have to ask yourself, what am I doing? You can ask yourself, what am I becoming? And that can be a nice measurement, I think, for all of us. So if we take a view of the world that maybe takes in some of these things, it doesn't matter what major we're in or what we're studying, but implementing some of these things in our lives and looking at what we want to become, I think will help us all. Thank you.